Okay, so I'm continuing on with the crate here and just filling in where I can see. Sort of looking good so far. I see one little spot in there that I need to cover up. So I'm going to put this yellow leaf in here for both a little bit of color and some conceal. And just sort of snuggle it on in there. Alrighty. So we're looking pretty good there with coverage. Now the next thing is the main event, I guess you could say, is the apple. So we do want the crate to look good from both sides of it. So I want to make sure that I have enough apples to where they can be seen easily. And I'm not really sure, I haven't made one of these before, as I mentioned. And so I'm not really sure exactly how that's going to look. So I'm just sort of going to play around with it a little bit until I get a look that I really like. So add a few apples here in the center. And then some that have the leaves on them, sort of tie that in. I usually just kind of set stuff, you know, to get an idea of what I'm going to do before I start gluing. It's not the end of the world if you glue it and then decide that you want to do something different, because the glue peels off pretty easily. But I like to just sort of take a look and see, okay, how's this going to look? Alright, so I feel pretty confident that I am going to want this to be sort of in the center, but I also feel like I need it to be kind of oblong in the side. So just from looking at it, I could see that I want to move these over a little bit more and sort of go in both corners. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first couple apples here. And again, I'm using I know these are a little bit smaller, but I want to use the ones that that have the better detail towards the top. And let's just put a little spot here, since you want to lay against the side. I kind of like that. So there we go. Let's put another one down here to build our pile. And we're going to put you right there. Let's get a couple more of these. And continue to build our pile through. So this is what we have so far. That's not quite dry yet. Let's start looking at that cinnamon. Now I did put a little tie around the cinnamon. I think I'll leave that there. I debated about taking it out or putting it back in, but I kind of like it. And I want to put the cinnamon where you're going to be able to see it from both sides. So I'm sort of leaning towards putting it kind of here to go up into the center. Kind of across that way. Alright, so let's see how that looks from the sides. Obviously, as you can see, that's too forward, so we want this to stick up a little bit more and not overtake the apples, but sort of complement them. So there we go. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, it looks a little better on the side, but not quite exactly what I'm looking for. a little better look. There we go. From the side looks good. How about from this angle? Well, this angle looks really good. That looks good there. So I think if I add another apple onto the other side, I can get it to look like I want it. And I'm going to pull this up just a little bit here. So let's put a tab of glue here. And a little dab right there between the apple and the cinnamon. So I'm really happy with the way it looks that way. And I need to do just a little something here. And I actually think that an apple is going to take care of my issue with this. There we go. And I'm going to put one of these that I put the leaf on, because I definitely want those towards the top. I do not want your stem. There we go. And now one more little dab between the two of you. Kind of gives some more stability. Okay, so I finished putting in the apples and secured them all down. I put them at different angles because I wanted to make sure that it looked like they had, you know, just been put in there from picking and not placed by somebody doing a craft. So there are different angles, and I also used some of the inexpensive for a little bit lower down and to give it some fullness, and then some of the more expensive ones are in the more prominent places. So I mentioned that I had some cinnamon sticks that I got at the dollar store and some pecans from out in the yard, and I've added those here as well. So I had the cinnamon sticks tied, 3 tied together. So I put those, I want to make sure that it looks good from both this angle and from that angle, because that's how people will be seeing them. So that's why I sort of placed it on the side, not too high up, because when you were looking at it this way, it looked weird if it was up higher. So I kind of snuggled it down in there, and added a couple leaves to 2 real small ones to the apples, and then I just put one in there in the center of those apples there. And then I put a cluster of 3 pecans over here on this side, and I'm going to also put them over here on this side as well. I have a little spot right here that I'm going to put some pecans there. So I selected pecans that have like a little bit lighter shells so that there'd be a little more contrast against them and the leaves. There is a little bit of open space there, so I'm going to need to put something in that space to sort of hold them up. So I'm going to put this leaf down in here just to sort of give it something to set on. And I'm not really even doing anything other than just poking that down in there for sort of a foundation for it. Alright, now I'm going to take 3 pecans and put them in here. Let me cut this stem off because this isn't going to be useful. And get that down in there just a little bit more. So I want these to sort of not cover up the apples, so I want them down in there a little bit deeper. And I think because I'm going to do it that way, I'm going to actually glue them before I set them in there. So I'm just going to glue 3 of them together here. Hold it just a second there and give it time to set. going to take a third one and I'm going to set that down this way. And I want these to stick up just a little bit more so that when I drop them down in there, they'll be still visible. So I'm going to put that on the top and set these in a way like they're sticking up. And I know that kind of looks weird right now, but once it's down in there, you're probably not even hardly going to see the bottom one. Alright, and maneuver it around in here and poke it down. So you can see them, but they're not prominent. And I'm pretty happy with where they're at, so just to sort of anchor that into place, I'm just going to put one little dab of glue up against that apple and kind of stabilize it in there. So this is basically the finished little crate here. Has some apples, little label on it, some cinnamon, some pecans. From the sides you can see a little bit of the moss and you can see the leaves. And you can see a little bit of the cinnamon. And then that is the finished crate.